What's up, guys? I'm Chance Sanders here again, and we are at the Beckerhead Gathering up at Ethan Becker's place. You guys have seen plenty of videos coming out of this shop, but today I'm here with Mr. T.M. Hunt of T.M. Hunt Knives. And where have they seen your knives before? I think they may have seen them on some TV shows or something. What you guys?
Yeah, I've made a couple of pieces for the Discovery Channel, the Food Network, and you know, just a couple random places here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, show me the one flagship knife that they do, guys, that you've probably seen before. It's got to be the M18. Can you show that to them?
Yeah, this is what we call our new standard model. And everybody asks, well, what's the difference? They're all custom knives, but this standard model is, and this one's a little beat up because we bring everything up here to the Becker Gathering because it's a fantastic place to really get good feedback. But anyway, the standard version has a new CNC routed bolt-on handles. And what that does is it makes it more uniform for us to make. They're all the same. Plus it also, without having to individually sculpt each handle and whatnot, it saves us a ton of time. So we have been able to bring the cost down a little bit, which has been another complaint. But you know, at the same time, people also have to understand that, you know, these are all still handmade knives, so it's not something that we stock. But we've been able to, for our little shop of just shy of 1,000 square foot, we've put out about 130 of these. So
fantastic.
We are getting faster. So for everybody that's got an order, be patient. It'll get there. It's getting faster. But we've really had a lot of luck with that. We started doing business with a guy, I'm sure you probably know who he is, Joe Snarsky, LMF Joe. He's also the guy that he's known pretty well for making aftermarket handles for Becker.
Ah, yes. Gotcha.
A lot of Jeff Randall's stuff, and just great guy to work with. And I'd actually made my own set of handles that bolted on, and then sent them to him, and he made a mold out of my exact contours. So they're still, you know, they're CNC cut, but they're still to my specs.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the custom side of this goes, is the pattern of the knife pretty standard, or do you have people saying, "Well, man, I want 3/8 of an inch on this side," and you know, that kind of stuff, that sort of custom, or is it kind of, "Hey guys, this is the knife I make, and I make them one at a time, and if you want one of my knives, this is what you're buying"?
Well, I have a very complicated answer for that.
Cool.
It depends on what you're talking about. My passion is being able to do things that I can express my creativity and do one-off things. Of course, that's not exactly what pays the bills. So, like, this is the kind of stuff I like to do, but this is the more stuff that I'm commonly known for, like we like to dub the workhorse line. We try to keep that. The people like, for example, the Mogwai, the M18, or the Tradewater, Yuma, whatever. People will see one knife somewhere that somebody else has, and you know, and they like it. So, but it's not available to them until they talk to me or go through one of the dealers or whatnot. So they're looking for something similar. So we try to make them, you know, all as uniformly as the same as we can. Now, of course, handle materials and handle options and sheath options now. The sky's the limit on that stuff. So. Like the M18s, you know, the Yumas, the Tradewaters, stuff like that. The configurations are endless, but the knife is still basically the same knife.
One of the things, guys, that I noticed about Mr. Hunt's knives originally was with his handles is the mixing of the various. Let me get it so you guys can see this. The way he does the work on the handle scales is just so awesome. And so it's the same kind of materials. I mean, obviously this is G10 or micarta, right?
Yeah, that's G10.
Okay, so G10, which we're all familiar with, but it's the manipulation of that G10 that to me is just fantastic. I don't know how you do that.
And well, actually, it's awesome. Not overly complicated. What people don't understand, though, is just like this piece right here. It's this is about a 12-piece handle,
right?
Because every color and every rivet is a different piece, and it's just you know, actually, and everything is kind of an interpretation of other things that we see. The very first knife I actually saw that made print was that absolutely blew my mind was not the knife. I mean, the knife was very well finely crafted, but it was a Ryan Weeks knife, and it had a lot of multiple and different colors in the bolsters. And I thought, man, I looked at it and I understood how he did it, but I thought, man, that's just absolutely gorgeous. And then once you get to putting them together, it's kind of like reminds you of doing a puzzle when you was a kid, you know. Right. And sometimes, you know, the glue up part, it kind of gets a little hairy just because you don't have a whole lot of time. So I usually kick everybody out of the shop and don't let anybody bother me. But it's not anything that somebody shouldn't, you know, should be intimidated to try.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And it does lend to me, an element of uniqueness that you can have in your knife that, you know, doesn't look exactly like the guys next to you, but the materials are known, you know.
And the colors, the materials, it's all endless. So I mean, it's all to whatever.
The one we just had out there, what is that knife? Is that the trade water?
No, this is actually these are the only two that I have of these right now. And like I said, everything's a little slimy and dirty being around here. But I have the Yuma and the trade water, which is the exact same knife other than a little bit of blade length. I had a client get a hold of me and said he wanted one just a little bit longer yet, and you know, some things are created out of necessity and some things are kind of created by accident sometimes. So it intrigued me because when I was playing with the shape of the trade water, I made a couple different ones and it didn't appeal to me then, but sometimes when you revisit things, you come back and for whatever reason it works. So actually these two are both about an inch and a quarter bigger than longer than the trade water, and it's actually got about another 3/16 of an inch on the height of the blade as well.
Let me see, so you guys can see that real good.
I think that probably still has some remnants of my dinner on it.
Well, and I'm looking at this thing, and I don't really understand this, maybe my ignorance. I don't really understand the concept of a camp knife when people show me a big chopper and like, so it's a camp knife. And for me, if I'm in a camp, then more likely I've got a hatchet or an axe for those purposes. Mm-hmm. So this guy here, I would look at this as a camp knife because in camp I'm going to be cutting up meat, I'm going to be cutting up dinner. I could fight with this. I could survive with this if I needed to, but because of the way it's shaped and everything. And honestly, that looks to me like like a trade knife, you know, a frontier knife. I mean, if you look at history, the kind of stuff they carried, a lot along those lines, without being overly, you know, trying to make it a you know, wilderness mountain man piece.
I think it lends itself very well to. You know, it's definitely getting a little bit bigger. I think it lends itself very well to being a good camp chore knife, and like you said, you know, a meat processing knife. It's thick enough, it's sturdy enough. It's just one of those things that you know, my logic is good at a lot of different things. You know, there's hundreds of purposes and intents for knives. I try to pick out, you know, designs or things in my head that lends itself very well to all of them. So you don't have to pack 10 things.
Now, guys, I own a TM Hunt knife, and the one that I have is the Magua, which this thing, one of the best little personal EDC fixed blades, in my opinion, that you can get. It feels great. It's long enough. It's sharp enough. It's pointy enough. You can do a lot with it. Now, tell me about that one.
Where this originated from was I have an uncle that hand makes black powder traditional rifles, and he's my godparent. He actually made one the year I was born, which was 1974. You don't rack your brains too much to do the math there, but anyway. The very first one I actually made as a patch knife for a gift for him, and it's pretty much remained completely unchanged, and that was like 10 years ago. It's just a knife that there's absolutely nothing to it that you don't need. I mean, it's just a bare bones performer. It's got everything you do need, nothing you don't.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate, people have really taken a liking to him, and I make quite a few of them.
Nice, nice. Now, you guys see this here in the traditional pouch sheath. A lot of guys will carry them in a kydex and the pocket kind of sheath on a lanyard. It's like I say, it's great, great EDC knife. It's slim enough to fit there.
And we have that option too, Chance,
Oh, cool.
for all the stuff now. As you know, we've got our own on-site kydex guy, and he's a young fellow doing great work. This is actually one that he came and finished out for us just a couple days before we came down here, and his retention's great. He puts a lot of time into. You will get knife makers that say, tell you, hey, just because of what is in the kydex, you're gonna have scratching in your knives. I mean, you see any scratching?
No.
He spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to bed that down, and he's just done great work in the small time that he's been doing it. And
now, real quick, you guys make all your sheaths in house?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that is one of the things that is overlooked by a lot of people. Is the quality of the sheath that's going to come with their knife, or even if a sheath comes with their knife with some people. But I mean, real close look, guys. These are not the kind of sheaths that you're going to want to have to send off and get somebody else to make you a custom sheath for your knife. Just really good work, really well done.
Everything that we have comes with usually the choice of whatever you want. I've always believed that the knife and the sheath is a full package.
Right.
And I'm too anal to let that work go to somebody else. There's nothing worse than having a work of art, as a knife, and then have it disrespectively shoved in a real piece of shit sheath.
Yeah.
That's always been a pet peeve of mine, and the only way that I could overcome it was to just do it myself.
Yeah, that's really good work. Can you show me your art piece over there? Well, I call it
Yeah.
art piece, but
Yeah, this is one I made to take the blade here this last year. I've always had a kind of infatuation with the crest blade.
oh, nice.
And this is just the kind of stuff that I get to do when I lock everybody else out and just have fun.
Look at that, guys. That is sweet.
And the thing is about that blade and that grind, it's not one of the more heard of things to have a crest blade that is done by stock removal.
Right.
And that's
right.
done by stock removal.
Oh, wow.
It never touched a grinder.
Really?
Meaning that, that's all done with hand files and sandpaper.
Wow.
I worked on and off on that one for about a year and a half.
That is crazy. All right, so one last thing right here, and if this is what I think it is, I'll tell you what, I really hope this knife comes into production.
That is a prototype from a client of mine. I've gotten to do some prototype work, and without, in danger of sounding cocky, Chance, I have been blessed enough in my short career at this that I am able to pick and choose kind of what I want to do as far as other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And that was commissioned by a client of mine in Arizona, and that's the second one I've made for him. And interesting, and it's more of a thing of, well, damn, I want to play with it too and see how. So but it's interesting. And we was fortunate enough that the client said, bring it up here and let everybody beat on it and see what we got.
This is one of those things that the conundrum is always, how do you do, big work with a small knife or small work with a big knife? And in this one, guys, the way I'm holding it right here, the balance point, it's just like I'm holding a small knife. It really...
The back of the handle adds as a counterweight.
Exactly. So, I tell you what, if you do end up making any of these, I'm going to want one of these. For sure. Now, I noticed several of your knives have the hole up here, and was that a feature that it came in originally as a functional feature that's turned in kind of a
well, that's the same
trademark?
That is the same thing like with the M18. A lot of people ask, and I'm not a lanyard guy. I don't like strings hanging off, but these are actually part of the function.
Okay.
That's why they're also they're separated, so you can put it here, and then there's nothing to get hung up on your briars and whatnot. But you hit the nail on the head with what you said about a large knife with a small job. The M18 specifically, this goes around your elbow, totally supports the weight of the knife. Since this is adjustable, you can choke it up wherever you want. The fingers and the forward jimping, now you have something that you can use this for detailed work, skinning and whatnot.
Outstanding.
We've got some videos, and I had to dig them up somewhere, but we've totally broke down and field dressed deer with the M18.
Outstanding.
And it works. It's a little bit different concept than what people are relatively used to.
So, and I know personally, at least some of the genesis of this knife, and what people have to understand is this was born, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was born from a need of wanting to do as much as you can in the wilderness in a primitive wilderness living type situation where you can take one tool and do the absolute most that you can do.
The most with one thing.
Yeah.
It is not. It is not competing with anybody. Yeah. It's not the be all end all. Hey, this is the greatest thing. Your tools are only as capable as the person using them.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, and it's not necessarily an entry level tool either. Yeah. My goal was exactly what you said. I know when my purpose was what would I want to do with it? I like to hunt. I like to be out in the woods, and these are the things that I would use it for. So, and I've never really made or anything that I've really had a design in my mind as far as how I do things. I've never really tried to please anybody but me, and I've just been fortunate enough that everybody else seems to like it.
It's kind of cool the way you do the M18 and the star. Looks very military marked. You guys know I was in the Marine Corps, and you spray painted and marked everything and stenciled, and it looks cool. And I'm actually staring at our friend out here who's got a Land Rover, and this kind of tool looks like something you'd find as like the survival kit in a camel trophy truck or something. I mean, it's just, that's what it screams to me: jungles and far off places. And
Murphy coined it as an emergency tool that would be like in your military vehicles, and he was a big help and influence when we made the very first one of these 6 years ago now.
Yeah. All right, guys. How can they get in touch with you?
Just like everybody else, Facebook, Instagram. I have a website, but if you, right now, probably the most examples of my work would probably be on the Facebook page, TM Hunt Custom Knives. And if you just type that in, it's going to take you somewhere. I stay fairly detached from that, but you type in TM Hunt Custom Knives, and it'll get you to one of them.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you checking out the channel. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.